Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Please share in the chat what is happening 7 months from today. What's happening on Tuesday, November 5th? No one? It is election day in America. Yes, it is election day in America. So I happened to come across a cartoon in the New Yorker. It is a father who's reading a story to his daughter as she's going to sleep. Can you all visualize this? So here's what the father's reading to the daughter. And so, freaked out about the coming election, they moved to France and lived happily ever after. The next 7 months will be confusing. But really, every day is confusing on account of our ego, others' egos. Someone had asked me recently if I've continued writing my next book. And I shared with her, I'm really trying to carve out time, but there's so much therapizing that I do. Listening to seekers, sharing with seekers. And so, I was telling her that I don't have a lot of time, but whenever I do listen and share with seekers, my first and foremost advice to them is to engage in more sadhana. Engage in more centering. So if you're projecting the next 7 months will be confusing, if you're projecting today will be confusing, engage in more centering. Like the 50 seekers who are joining our silence retreat. We start in a few hours, then for 58 hours, these 50 seekers are going to be centering themselves. On Sundays, for 2.5 years, I taught about humility. This was done through the Ramayana. For the next 5 years, I taught about surrender. This was done through Bhagavad Gita. And now for half a year, I'm teaching about clarity. Clarity here means not theorizing about humility and surrender, but following through. And I'm doing this through Sabodha Vedanta. On Tuesdays, for 9 years, I gave insights into jnana or knowledge. But this year, I'm sharing insights into bhakti or devotion. It is easy to get stuck in our heads when all we do is read, write, and reflect on jnana. Bhakti is experiential. I share all of this because in verse 16, Sri Krishna is sharing the path from doing to being is the same path from crying to contentment. It is a path of renouncing and surrendering. I had shared 3 practices on how to follow through with surrender, devotion. Step 1 is to share. Step 2, serve. Step 3, yesterday I used the word remember, but now I only think in alliteration, so I'm changing it to summon. To summon that remembrance of divinity. Zooming into these more. When one shares, they are letting go of deservership and doership 25%. 25%. They are acknowledging they're not the only doers, and so they're not the only deservers. But step 2, that is to serve, this is when one lets go of deservership and doership 50%. That's why it's step 2. One has the understanding, the insight, that they are just a part, and naturally there is a whole. Step 3, that is to summon, that is to remember you are at the feet of divinity. Not even in the hands of divinity, but at the feet. Do you remember when Duryodhana and Arjuna both went to Sri Krishna and he was sleeping? Where was Duryodhana? At his head. Where was Arjuna? At his feet. I hope you can visualize. Sharing is being at Sri Krishna's head. Serving is being at his hands. Summoning is being at his feet. That is where one lets go of deservership and doership 100%. From 25 to 50, 50 to 100. I really am sharing with all of you what bhajana feels like. I hope you'll train yourself to reassociate whenever you come across the word bhaga, as in Bhagavan, you will associate this with bhajana. Bhajana means to live for. Sharing is supporting. Serving is serving. We've already come across that. Summoning is surrendering. That is not new to you. I'm only stating this in a different way to refine our follow-through more. If you think of new cars, not that I'm a fan of new cars, but new cars have such refinements where it went from the driver's seat being heated to the driver and passenger. Now the steering wheel is heated also, correct? You see these refinements that you all pay for. Sheila and I need a new car, and so there's an option for us to get a car without a push button. I said, I want that one. I like putting a key into the slot and turning it. Sharing a few more insights into verse 16. For the one who feels the Spirit is doing, they will also feel that the Spirit is dying. One of you had asked me that question about in a funeral. Then the person speaking shares that person's spirit has left this body and has gone into another body. You will only feel that if you feel the Spirit is the doer and not the beer. For anyone who understands, has the insight that the Spirit is being, it never came into your body. And so it's not going to leave your body. To help us live by all of this, the untrained intellect, what does it do? It instructs. Train the intellect by inquiring specifically Our kid's principal, he had shared with our kids and some other students in the school. Every day, ask yourself about a cherry. A cherry has 3 components. So ask yourself, what was the juice of your day? What was the part of your day that made you happy? What was the pit of your day? What do you do with a pit? You throw it away. The juice you digest, the pit you throw away. What was the part of the day that made you unhappy? Throw it away. Now there's one more part to this cherry. There's a stem. That connects you to something bigger. What did you learn today? What a nice visualization. So use your intellect to ask, what is your cherry? Then it instructs less, inquires more. The untrained mind feels that the spirit is the doer. How do we train the mind for it to feel the spirit is the beer? By chanting. Imagine I'm interacting with you, but in my mind I'm saying Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. See how I'm taking what's in my mind and projecting that onto you. I will be much more respectful of you if I feel there's some facet of Bhagavan Shiva on you, in you, etc. Good? Ready for the next verse? Verse 17. 16 was the sucker. 17 is the savior. Yasya naham krito bhavaha buddhir yasya na lipyate hatva pisa imam lokan nahanti na nibadhyate. Joy. First quarter, yasya, the one who lives by, the one who follows through, na aham kritaha bhava, the one who feels I am not the doer. They're the one who feel they are the spirit, which is existence. Existence is being. Shared in a practical way, a way for us to really reflect on this. In the first quarter, it is one who doesn't feel they are an individual. Yesterday, your application was for you to feel that you know nothing. If you really applied yourself, this is training in unlearning that you're an individual. You aren't. That is a worldly perspective that you're an individual. How did this insight come to be? Yasya, again the one who's living by, following through, buddhihi, they're using their intellect to inquire, who are they? What are they? Nalipyate, their intellect is not instructing, it is not extrovert. That's how they've come to understand and accept they're not the doer. The intellect is the only equipment that can pierce through the ego. And so one has to use the equipments, the intellect specifically, against the ego, not for the ego. A knife in the hand of a surgeon, that is using that knife in the right way. It is against disease. A knife in the hand of a terrorist, that is the wrong use of that equipment. It is for disease, as in harming others. Third quarter is very specific to Prince Arjuna, but really us. Hatva, slaying, killing, api, even though, saha, the one, imam lokan, these people. This is the context of a warrior in a war. So the word hatva is used. Hatva means to slay, but more generally it means to fight. More generally it means to do. Shri Krishna is trying to share here, even though they're doing, they are actually being. If one has identified, has immersed themselves that they are existence, then whatever the ego and equipments and experiences are engaged in, they are different. They are not limited by that. And that's why Shri Krishna follows this up with nahanti. The slaying, the fighting, the doing is happening, yet the slaying, the fighting, the doing is not happening. Na nibadhyate. They're done acting for fulfillment. They're acting out of fulfillment. They have nothing to gain and so nothing to lose. Final reflection, and I'll share a little bit more tomorrow. Doership is the determiner of a karma. If there's no doership, there's no karma. For the one who's engaged in renunciation and surrender, has followed the 5 factors from the body to the spirit, has gone from the path of doing to being, there is no doership. So there's no karma. Naturally, there's no karma bandha then. How many of you are happy with your understanding of this verse? Good enough. From inspiration to application, your application yesterday was to feel that you know nothing. I think I saw someone share that they had an amazing day because it was so easy for you, correct? But this is training and unlearning. If you had an amazing day, good for you. It's much harder to unlearn than to learn. Feeling you know nothing is an expression of humility, which leads to surrender. You forget that you're an individual. That is freedom. What you've learned in school, in your workplaces, what your family tells you that you're an individual, that is a disservice. Your application for this morning is, I want you to follow the 3 steps of share, serve, summon. Share, serve, summon. 25% practice, 50% practice, 100% practice. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be joy.